Welcome in. You're listening to Locked On Now NHL, local experts on the biggest stories on the ice. I'm your host, Kainani Stevens. Thank you for making Locked On Now your first listen every single weekday. We've got our Locked On NHL host here to recap the action from Sunday afternoon. 4 teams with playoff hopes picked up wins on Sunday to get a little bit closer to clinching a postseason berth. Let's go around the league with our local experts.
Let's go around the league.
The Washington Capitals have turned it on at the exactly right time. 3 wins in a row in the middle of this playoff push. Locked On Capitals goes over the latest victory and fills you in on why Washington has been able to turn it around.
Hello, this is Dan Holme from Locked On Capitals. The Washington Capitals win 3 in a row. Yes, this Capitals team has really turned it around ever since TJ Oshie announced they had an all-team meeting. This team has really ratcheted up the pressure. They win 3 games in a row. They win 1 against Tampa. They win 1 against Pittsburgh and 1 today against Boston. This is a totally different Capitals team. The Capitals earned their 3rd straight win against teams higher than them in the Eastern Conference standings and moved within 2 points of the Penguins. Like I say, this team has really turned it around and everyone is all in. They're in it to win it. You get scoring from offense, defense, and you see a big improvement in the goaltending department. Keep it locked on to Locked On Capitals, and I will keep you updated on all the news on this exciting Capitals team, your team every day.
Right in front of the Capitals in the Metropolitan are the Pittsburgh Penguins, who are closing in on clinching a playoff spot. They got a 2nd point Sunday by beating the Predators in overtime, and our Locked On Penguins host tells you how it happened.
Well, finally, the Penguins get a win. Hey, everyone, I'm Hunter Hodes here with a Locked On Penguins podcast, back with another Locked On Now. For once, I'm actually not wearing a hat, as, again, it's the Pittsburgh Penguins. They get a 3-2 overtime victory against the Nashville Predators to stay 4 points ahead of the Washington Capitals for 3rd place in the Metropolitan Division. Their magic number to clinch for the playoffs is also down to 3. They just have to beat the New York Islanders in one of the 2 meetings against them this week, and they will be into the playoffs for another season. But this game, it was all Sidney Crosby. Had 2 goals and an assist. The last goal, obviously, his 1,400th career NHL point. He's the 7th fastest player to ever get to that mark. But this was just a big win. The Penguins, they didn't really start out the game well. They were kind of fighting it. At one point, they were being outshot 19-4. But, after that Nick Cousins goal in the 3rd period, really thought the Penguins turned up their plays. Jason Zucker gets a big goal, his first one at home since December. And then the Penguins were able to win that game in overtime. Next up is a date on Long Island with the New York Islanders. For more on the Pittsburgh Penguins, you can check out the Locked On Penguins podcast wherever you get your podcasts.
The Dallas Stars are another team fighting for a wild card spot right now, and they are getting those needed wins. Dallas won in Chicago last night, and Locked On Stars goes over how Dallas got its 6 goals in the victory.
The Dallas Stars came out on Sunday night and took care of business, defeating the Chicago Blackhawks and earning the season series sweep over Chicago. Hey, everyone, Dane Lewis here with the Locked On Stars podcast, coming to you on Sunday night after the Stars were victorious over the Blackhawks by a score of 6-4. And this game had a little bit of everything. It was quite the offensive shootout. Both teams going back and forth with one another in the first 2 periods. And then finally, Jason Robertson opens up the scoring for the Stars, scoring 2 in a row to send the Stars into the break with a 5-3 lead. And then the Stars able to close things out and get a much needed 2 points after an ugly loss on Saturday at home to one of the worst teams in the league in the New Jersey Devils. These are 2 massive points that now put the Stars back in the 2nd wildcard spot out west with authority. Vegas is now 2 points behind them, and the Stars have a big game coming up on Tuesday against the Tampa Bay Lightning. But not only do they hold the 2nd wildcard spot over Vegas, they are now 1 point removed from the 1st wildcard spot. So they are on Nashville's heels and looking to secure a playoff spot no matter where they are. It's going to be tough for them to complain as long as they can make it into the dance, because this is a dangerous team with the likes of guys like Jason Robertson, like Rope Hintz, who had a goal tonight, like Jake Ottinger, who had a pretty good night overall. Just a few weird plays, some pucks that bounced off of his teammates, mainly Essa Lindell, but he was able to recover from that, and the team as a whole able to recover from Saturday's hideous loss, and they move on onwards and upwards with this team, and now they move their focus to one of the more challenging matchups from the Eastern Conference in Tampa Bay. Well, we will cover this Sunday matchup in its entirety on Monday's episode of Locked On Stars. I can't wait to see you there.
The Minnesota Wild gave up 3 goals in the first 10 minutes against the Kings, but responded with 6 unanswered to take what ended up being an easy win. Locked On Wild recaps the comeback.
Blowing a 2-goal lead is bad. Blowing a 3-goal lead, even worse. Hey, everybody, Seth Topal, host of Locked On Wild, your daily Minnesota Wild podcast, recapping a 6-3 win for the Minnesota Wild over the Los Angeles Kings to get win number 44 on the season. Wild trailed 3-0 with time winding down in the first period, thanks to a Kings shorthanded goal, an even strength goal, and a power play goal as well. But then Kirill Kaprizov got the scoring started, his 42nd goal of the season, which ties Marian Gaborik and Eric Stahl in the Wild record books for most goals in a single season. After that, it was Matt Boldy making his return to the lineup. Welcome back, young man. Also scoring, Jared Spurgeon in the second period to tie it up at 3-3. Then Matt Zuccarello, Marcus Foligno, and Nick Bjugstad add the 4th, 5th, and 6th unanswered goals for the Wild, who scored, as mentioned, 6 straight goals after trailing early 3-0. Marc-Andre Fleury rebounded nicely to pick up some nifty saves down the stretch, and the Wild pick up their 20th come-from-behind win on the season. Some things to clean up in this game for sure for the Minnesota Wild, but it's not how you start, it's how you finish. For more on this game and more on the Minnesota Wild, make sure you're following Locked On Wild wherever you listen to podcasts.
That's all for today on Locked On Now NHL. Thank you for making Locked On Now your first listen every single weekday. Make sure you check out Locked On NHL and your team's Locked On podcast. I'm Kainani Stevens. This has been Locked On Now.